Hey everyone, another episode. It's the afternoon. It's time for that coffee. It's time for that Semmler. So, if you're in Sweden, you'll get that joke, fika. The whole they do this thing in Sweden basically when you're in the office. 3 p.m. rolls around. Everybody takes a little bit of a break. They get a cinnamon bun, a coffee, a tea, whatever. You get a little 10-minute break to have your coffee and your tea and your cinnamon bun or your Semnor. So there you go. Right. Welcome to Sweden. A little bit of a lesson there for you guys today. It's fun. But what I wanted to talk about today was NaVi. Just gonna ramble a little bit about them, just because there's a little bit of news about them. Right, there's an interview up on HLTV right now with Simple, seeing as how he's joined the roster recently to replace Zeus, long-standing member of the team. Been quite a long time since he was the in-game leader of the team. Just to correct a few people out there who seem to think that he was, still active with the in-game leading role. He hadn't been active with the in-game leading role for quite some time on the team. That role fell to Starix, which is why with the coach ruling made by Valve, basically saying that coaches are limited in their involvement. I'm not thinking about Zeus, or I'm thinking NaVi are going to hurt a little bit, just because they have relied heavily on Starix as the in-game leader for quite some time. But that's not, we already talked about that a little bit already. But what got me wondering today was more just NaVi's decision to back out of ECS. That's really interesting to me, because since the beginning of this year, right? I mean, towards the end of last year, the schedule was already supercharged, right? Lots of leagues, nonstop events. I mean, you were constantly on the road. The players were constantly on the road, and it just wasn't stopping, right? And going into the beginning of this year, right, we thought, okay, there's going to be a bit of a down period. Maybe month of January is going to be a little bit more calm, so people are going to have some time off after the holidays to recoup and kind of just, take some time to breathe. Turns out that wasn't the case at all. You just hit the ground running immediately after Christmas and New Year's, and you just started going into other events. It was like the E-League debut in Vegas, and followed by a few others, Belarus, I believe IEM now, the minor qualifier in Taipei, just to name a few. But, it's just already right out the gates, lots of events, right? And so I remember at, I believe it was Belarus, right, when I was talking with some of the players, and I'm just like, why are you guys doing all three leagues? Because, Turner was going to start up. That Turner were going to be in there with their format. ESL have an extremely demanding format when it comes to their online league. It's like 32 days of online gameplay pretty much, which is just, huge. It's hugely demanding. It's a lot of matches that need to be played out. Granted, some teams aren't going to be there for all 32 days, but it's still a lot of time taken up in a schedule. And then you had ECS as well, right? So just, back to back to back leagues, other events going on. And then you have to keep in mind there's travel going on as well when you have standalone events that are happening, the majors, the minors. It's just a very charged schedule. And so back then I remember having, conversations with players and just saying, are you guys interested at all in just cutting down on it and doing 2 leagues instead of 3, right? Or making 1 league your home and then being free to do more individual events rather than just focusing on the grind, right? Because right now what I'm thinking, and obviously the reason why we're talking about NaVi is because NaVi have declined to participate for the second time in ECS. So the first season of ECS, they chose not to participate due to the workload. And this season, this new season that's coming up, that will be starting soon. We have the qualifiers going on right now because NaVi, didn't participate in the first season. They were going to have to go through the qualifiers, and I think that probably maybe that's what actually prompted NaVi to decline participating at all. It's just we have to spend time going through the qualifiers, where I can't tell if there's any money on the line, even if it's just, you're just qualifying for a slot. So the first team at the top of the qualifiers who wins the qualifiers will get a slot in the main event. But then if you're second and third, then you have to play more matches, because you have to then go up against teams that are on the way out of the league, fight for that relegation spot. And then you're finally in the league where you have to play it another league, right, to just keep going. It's just just a really long process. And so NaVi have elected to just say, actually, no, we're playing in Pro League already, which is ESL's league that's happening. We're going to be playing in E-League when that Season 2 gets announced as well. When the dates come out for that, we'll see. But, we've already got 2 leagues on our plate, and it looks like they're content to say, right, we are actually just going to try and not drive ourselves into the ground, which is what I think happens quite a bit with, I think there's quite a bit of wear and tear on the players right now with nonstop official matches, nonstop leagues. We start to see, I think, a CS that relies a bit more on individual aim and skill, just because teams don't have time to sit and regenerate and just renew their game, right? Teams struggle with this quite a bit. They get figured out, and then you have to come up with a new game style. That's the in-game leader, right? The in-game leader is going to sit down. He's going to be like, right, okay, we got predictable here. Now it's time to change up and come up with this new strategy and try and, change how. But that takes time, right? That takes a lot of time. And so it's incredibly demanding, the schedule that's already been, set in place. If you're trying to play in every league and doing every event, it's just you're trying to survive the leagues and the events at this point. You're not trying to, innovate per se, right? Or you're not having a whole lot of time to sit back and be creative and innovate and come up with work. I mean, NaVi right now stand out to me as one of another interesting team, just because they are one of the top tier teams right now. They are fully professional, fully salaried, along with some of the other fully salaried teams. They've actually changed it up. They've actually changed up their training schedule. They're working during the day now instead of how it used to be, which was that come 6 p.m. in the evening, 5 p.m., 6 p.m. in the evening, okay, everybody, because most of these players, most of the players at the time still had jobs, day jobs. Okay, they do their day job, they get off from work, they grab a quick bite to eat, and then they prac all night, or they play officials. Now, NaVi, because CS is their job, they're one of the first teams to be able to sit back and say, right, okay, we're going to have our practice start at 10 a.m. in the morning, 10 a.m. sharp every day, prac for 6 hours, a little bit of a break, and then if there are any officials that night, play the officials, right? It is a long day, but that's an interesting shift for me. And the players so far, after getting to talk with them, they love it, right? NaVi got to talk with Guardian, got to talk with Starix, and just the fact that they can now have a little bit more of a structured life. If they don't have any matches scheduled that evening, it's not like your evening is just automatically given up because you have prac. No, you can go out and have a drink with some friends or something like that, right? You can actually go out and be a little bit more social. You don't have to fully sacrifice the social life, because the vast majority of people out there are going to school during the day, are working full-time jobs during the day. When night rolls around, they're looking to go out and have a bite to eat, maybe go see a movie, chill out at the bar, variety of social things, right, that happen. And so, that's actually one of the sacrifices that players have to make, is that with the old schedule of having to prac at night and always be present at night, you just couldn't be a part of that sort of social circle, right? It was very difficult. And so now we're starting to see that first step get taken, where the players are now, it's a quality of life, right? Where the players are finally able to actually have that prac during the day, and then that frees up their evenings. Maybe they have some official matches in the evening, but if they don't, great. They can actually go out. And so NaVi are one of the first teams to start thinking about that, and clearly are one of the first teams to start thinking, right, okay, maybe we need to start cutting back a little bit on the number of official matches we have, and to promote that as well. And I think the goal here in the end, what's going to happen is just that NaVi are going to be one of the more fresh teams if they're not constantly grinding these official matches online. And they can start focusing on this daily prac routine that's a bit more healthy, right? Waking up with the sun, going to sleep. I mean, they actually could be one of the teams that gets a little bit of an edge out of this, because they can spend a little bit more time at home. They can focus a little bit more just, on the game during the day, but they're not constantly 12 hours a day grinding. And it just allows for them to have a little bit more room to focus on, play on. Sorry, phone. Close that. So, I mean, NaVi right now are super interesting for me, just because of these sorts of things, right? These quality of life changes that they're making right now, as in, backing off of official matches, changing up their practice schedule, becoming a bit more strict with their practice, right? They have some rules in place that make sure that, players are on time. They're not really taking breaks. They will take breaks, but they're not just random anymore. They're very, set. There's rules in place. And so NaVi are trying to take those steps right now to really push this into, this is more of a job now, right? This is your job. You're a professional, and you will be here for these hours. You will work for these hours, and we will see something come of that. And I think that we will see something come of that if they have more energy due to being able to spend more time at home and have a little bit of a social life alongside their job. I think they only stand to benefit. And now they have Simple in the roster as well. And so they just have this ultra versatile, crazy talented player who's going to be able to fill any role. Initially coming into it, I was wondering a little bit if he would be taking the secondary op role from Seized, but he answered that in an interview today with HLTV. I don't know if it was today or yesterday or whatever, but he's already made it clear that no, Seized is going to hold on to the main op role or the secondary op role, and that Simple is going to play with the AK. But that's like, Simple is one of those players that is capable of just, you can put him in any position with a rifle, a sniper rifle, a deagle, whatever, and he will do damage. And he's just one of those ultra versatile kind of players, right? So NaVi, they've just got a very solid start with him. If you check the ratings, I mean, obviously it's online stuff, but they've already played against Astralis, they played against G2, and Simple definitely did not disappoint, right? So it feels like he's already slotting in nicely with the team. He's got Starks to watch over him and mold him basically, and he has a lot of experienced teammates as well. And so now it just looks like NaVi as a whole should be a team that are just on the up and up, and it should be looking good for them, given the fact that they still need to make adjustments for this new coach rule, but I'm fully confident that they will be able to. So keep your eyes on NaVi. That was a bit of a mishmash, just ramblings, but I'm trying to do one of these a day, just for practice as well. Already noticing that I say a lot, right? Watching some of the other ones back, it's just trying to identify some things and in how I speak, and so this is a bit of an exercise. Consider this an exercise. So I'm glad you guys have been tuning in. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, and I'll see you guys for tomorrow's video. Peace. Have a good night.